All right, today I've been out for the last week or so, but today we're going to be going over a Linux book I've been writing for the last year-ish, 2 years, something like that. I haven't made like that much progress, but I wanted to do a how to set up Linux video that was more all-encompassing. And I think I've got the layout for it, and I'm gonna get a lot of feedback on today's stream, and then probably like some WinUtil updates, and that should be pretty good. Also, might look into doing like a Hyperland type setup as well. So those are kind of like the objectives of today, man. How's it going, Mindy? I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm just out trying to get back in the swing of things. I've just been a lazy bum. I think I say that every stream, though. Start off and like, I've been lazy. I should have done this. And then nothing happens. I feel like I need to go back to my dumb phone. I feel like the phone has been bad. It's been the devil box. I feel like that's a thing. But today, we're getting some stuff done. Getting some shit done. Let's get it. Getting back into it. All right. Oh, what is a dumb phone? Something like that. It's not. You can't play video on it, and I don't know if I like this one. I got another one over there too, but it has no apps. At least in this one, I could call like an Uber. The other one, you got like voice and text, and that's it. Like even the text is a little bit rough around the edges too. So I don't know. I think it helps with productivity though. Like I don't think most people realize how much the smartphone hampers their productivity. At least for me. If I would just like delete all my phones, just throw them in a locked thing and just leave them for a month and just not respond to anybody, I would get so much done compared to what I do now. But dude, could you imagine? Yeah, no, doesn't it? It's an e-ink screen with a BlackBerry keyboard. The camera on it's pretty funny. Like you can't actually see the camera because it's an e-ink screen. So you take a picture and you're like, yeah, I don't know if that was in focus or not, but we're just gonna have to roll with it. So you kind of have to play by feel. It's a cool idea in premise. I wanted to make a video about it, but I just couldn't. I couldn't find a way to make the video to where it would be interesting, without just completely roasting the entire phone, because the phone itself is very poorly designed from a software perspective. The phone itself is all right, like the hardware, but the software and all the stuff behind it, it's just way too early days. And I was like, dude, it would just be me tearing apart a product for 20 minutes just saying, this is a pile of crap. Why did I spend, I think it was $300 on the Kickstarter? And I don't want to discourage the creator from that. So I'm hoping to give it like a couple months and then get like a couple more updates and go, okay, they fixed this. But if like a couple months go by and it's still just a complete dumpster fire that it is right now, then then I'm just gonna have to make that video and be like, dude, I know I'm like the first one to get it, but damn. I gave you a couple months to fix some of the software issues, but I kind of halfway fixed some of the issues myself. But they left like a ton of Google bloat on it. They just didn't do a very good job of making the ROM and customizing Android. Anyways, neither here nor there. Yeah, I know. Rip. It's bad. Quack, here's how bad the phone was when I got it. So I got the phone in, right? I spent the $300. And it started heating up. And then it just like, because of the e-ink screen, I thought, oh, I'll have like a week of battery life. Nah, not at all. It just like died within like 4 or 5 hours. And I'm like, WTF? And then as I tried to use it, like I switched my SIM card over to it and a whole bunch of crap. and tried to use it. We went to like the Ren Fair and some other stuff, and man, it just, oh, it was awful. At the end of it, I came home after going out in the world with it for 24 hours. And I was like, I would have felt better if they just stole the $300 and didn't send me anything. That's how bad it was. So that's what I was like, I can't make that video because it would just be me just destroying the product for a solid 30 minutes worth of just what the hell. And that's not very productive. So I'm going to wait for another couple updates, and then I'll try it again. Ugh. But we'll see. What's the book? Yeah, they just really didn't customize the software or Android at all, bud. It was kind of rough. So I think CD Linux book. This is what I kind of did over, I took a vacation, and I was actually able to kind of hone what I was thinking into a Linux book. So the idea, I did a video today, how to set up Windows. And that was more micro win and just kind of having a sane Windows experience out of the box for how I do it these days. And then I wanted to follow that up with how to use Linux. And I found this, I think it's MD book. Was that it? MD book. Think so. MD book PDF, MD book EPUB. So I wanted to like publish a book, but at the same time I also wanted to do it through, come on, man. 1 second. But I also wanted to make it to where I can just jam out a whole bunch online. Oh, also, I forgot to tell y'all, I dumped Cursor. I got rid of Cursor completely and switched back to VS Code for most of my stuff. I still use Vim as well, so I kind of just go back and forth between the two. We'll let that install. Excuse me, sane Windows experience. Can I have some of those drugs? Touche. I see you. The vibe coding arc has ended. Oh my god. I think in actually WinUtil Discord. Do I have Discord up over here? Let's see. WinUtil Discord. Yeah. So Coding Wonders was actually talking about this. So there's a bunch of vibe coded shit that's happening in like 25H2 where they're multiplying certain presentation IDs, which this is very common when you vibe code. I think a lot of the very talented Microsoft engineers, they just laid off a bunch of them. And I know one personally that was on the kernel team, which is responsible for all the executables and binaries and has worked for Microsoft for over 2 decades, got laid off. So they're laying off some really talented people that have done their job for a very, very long time. And they're starting to run into this type of code. I think we're going to see a complete breakdown on the Windows code base. I don't think they have the skills. I think they're going to lose the skills to actually update Windows properly. I think we're going to see that in the next, I would say 5 years, but I think it's going to be sooner. So pretty wild. What happened to Cursor? I'm kind of cheap, and I didn't want to spend the $20 a month to keep my Cursor subscription active. So I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to use VS Code. And the thing about Cursor is they started implementing what's called agent mode. And agent mode was like what vibe coders do. It's like, hey, just take over for me and just let's feel the vibes and just go. And what would happen is agent mode would take over, it would spit out some code, it would correct it, and then immediately take back over without me even reviewing the code and go, oh, well, there's another error, let's fix this. And then, oh, there's another error, let's fix that. And before you know it, you're sitting there looking at this sea of red of changes, and it was all just vibe coded. So it made the coding experience to me from a learning perspective, where you might get some ideas from AI, to a, hey, AI is just going to take over and do whatever the hell it wants. And I had a big issue with that. So I really hated the default to agent mode and cursor, and it felt like it went too far. So that was the big thing and pushback. So why VS Code? Well, VS Code implemented like Copilot chat or whatever the hell it is. But in there, you could use like Anthropic's Claude 3.5, which is my favorite model to use for looking shit up. And it defaults to chat. I don't even know if there is an agent mode in Code or VS Code. Regardless, cool. So like if I'm wanting ideas, I can go, hey, give me some ideas. It'll spit out and go, here's what I'm thinking. And be like, yeah, that's stupid. No. But I like the chat mode a lot better, where, and it's free. So I can just use Claude 3.5 for free. So that's what I thought.
The dude abides.
Dragon Skies, thanks for the prime. 20 months, man. Whew. We're getting up there, man. We're getting up there. Oh, let's go. Yes. So I wanted to show you guys the Linux book too. So MD book. It's been a little bit. Let me go. MD book. What was? I think it was serve. So I think you can go MD book serve -- open. Oh, server. Serve. All right. What do we have? The command MD book PDF's not there. Linux book. Okay. No, I guess it didn't install. Let's try it again. Oh, I didn't find that one. MD book PDF not available? We might have to build from source here. Yeah, man, I'm going to get back into it. I was just talking to my family about that. I was like, man, because they wanted to go like bike riding or something. I was like, I gotta get back into working more. This is not, it's been great, but I gotta really focus up and get things done, because I've been slacking. It's not lost on me. So that's why I was like, all right, I'm getting back to some streaming, getting back to some writing some books. And then like Monday, I'm going to try and orchestrate like just like a brainstorm, not necessarily a live stream, but brainstorm for the week, and then kind of set up everything. So where I'm making more videos, doing more live streams, and then eventually kind of expanding out some of this. So this is going to be somewhat open source for the Linux book, and I wanted to showcase that. Let's go MD book PDF. What's going on here? I guess, oh, we can just do a cargo install. MD book PDF. Let's just grab that. We'll just build it from source. I'm an honors graduate in software development and got a graduate role 3.5 drive for me. Wow. Congrats, Dragon. That's awesome, man. WinUtil update win. Oh my god. It's been a minute. We need to get on that too. Have you done a reaction? Nah, I don't do reaction vids typically. Unless I can find something that would be good. If I was going to do a reaction to Pewd's video, I think I'd probably just expand and show kind of how he did certain things. And some of the things he did, I was like, okay, well, as cool as that is, like I think he was using for the logo, the animated logo on his bash prompt, which was pretty cool. I love that he kind of tinkered, but I think he was using a deprecated version of NeoFetch to do that via bash script. Like certain things he did, I was like, I wouldn't do that, but I don't want to discourage someone from coming out and using Linux that way. I thought it was so cool. I love Pewd's video. The too long didn't watch of a reaction to that was, I loved how he just dove in and just kind of picked. There's no wrong way to use Linux, and he figured out what he liked and what he enjoyed, and he made Linux his own, and that's what you got to do. I thought that was amazing. So I was really happy with how he approached Linux, because too many times I see people come over to Linux from Windows and they try to use it like Windows, and that's not the assignment. PewDiePie, he understood the assignment, adopted it, and freaking knocked it out of the park. I was like, that's exactly the mentality you should have when going to Linux. And it would just be a video of me just going, amazing, great. That's exactly what you should do when starting. So my hat's off to him. I thought he did a fantastic job. Best Linux advocacy video I've ever seen in my life. Better than anything I've ever made from a Linux advocacy point of view. So it was less of an instructional video, more of, hey, this is probably how you should use Linux. Not necessarily copy him, but more so find what you enjoy and then dive into that and change it to how you like to use it. And that's where the magic happens. Yeah. I said touch grass, not inhale it. So true. Yeah, and exactly. I think, Ahmed, I think it was going to come off as elitist if I were to respond to it. I'd be like, well, that was a fantastic advocacy video, but there's a few things I would change. Now, technically, I would, and I just don't think that's a good video. I think in general, I think how I just summarized it is what it should be. And technically, that's not a video, that's a short. That's like a 60-second clip of me just going, that's how you use Linux. You advocate for it. You try to customize it to your needs. You make it feel amazing to you. You're not copying somebody else. And that's the only configuration of how Linux is set up in the world. And that's where the magic lies. Like, my setup is the only one. No one's copying this one. And it's mine. I think that's cool. And that's what you got to do. So I guess I could do a video on it, but man, whew. Is there a issue with that? Should I install native instead? I always do a native. I'm not a big fan of Flatpak when I can do native, but certain things I don't mind doing Flatpak on. It's got almost 6 million views, the most watched video on Linux ever. I think so. I think that is the most watched video of Linux ever. I know for a fact it is, for any video over a minute long, has over 6 million views. There's probably a couple clips out there. Like, I'm thinking when Linus Torvalds was giving the finger to NVIDIA, that clip's probably been played tens of millions of times, but that's a clip, not a video. So, yeah, I would say it's the most watched Linux video of all time. Thoughts on SteamOS 3? I'm sure they'll launch SteamOS 3 for like Rogue Ally, and other handheld devices. I saw that the Legion Go now is an officially SteamOS supported thing, and the Go users were saying, hey, man, it's really, really good. So all of that is very good. Let's see how our book's going. All right, here we go. So this is what I've been working on. The Linux Desktop Guide. I think I'm going to just rename this to the Linux Book. And essentially what it is how to make Linux Desktop work for you. And I'm going to get some feedback from chat here. Let me know what y'all think here. What should I add to it? So first off, like chapter 1 goes over distributions, Debian-based, RHEL-based, Arch-based, the differences in there, package manager syntax, key features of most of these, and it kind of gives examples of the distros you see. And then release types, the difference between rolling and stable. Modularity, kind of explaining how all the different pieces that go into Linux. And then saying, hey, here's some quick tips for choosing a distribution. Windows users probably start with Mint. Mac OS users probably start with Pop OS, which is a GNOME experience. New gaming users, Bazzite, because it's an atomic system, so it doesn't, you can't change much in the actual system and screw it up. It's a lot harder to screw up. But more advanced gaming users that want to really kind of get into the nuts and bolts of things, I'd probably recommend Nobara. And advanced users that kind of want to elevate their game or ascend, I would recommend probably an Arch Linux or a Fedora for more control and cutting edge. And then we move into Linux distributions. First off, is there anything kind of from a broad strokes perspective that we should add to the Why Linux or Starting Linux chapter? Nah. Linux desktop AMD GPU needed. Not necessarily crash. I'm using NVIDIA on this system. So what do we got? Yeah, I think I have a, oh yeah. I have a 4070 Super in here. So on the Hyperland, it's not bad. Wine Proton, will it work? Yeah, I probably will dive more into Wine Proton in later chapters. For now, I want to kind of keep this high level for chapter 1, and then this kind of gives a starting point for folks. So this is kind of the best starting point I can think of while explaining some of the general concepts of Linux, and then what's it actually like going down at, hey, what's actually in a Linux distribution. I talk about bootloader, display renderer, Xorg versus Wayland, and then you can click on each one. These are a little bit older videos.
In this video, I'll be talking...
Oh man, this is old, 6 years ago. But kind of goes over the differences between like, hey, what's Wayland, what's Xorg in a video format. You don't have to watch that, but if you kind of wanted a more in-depth, after reading a paragraph, I'll leave links to each video. So then display manager, saying, hey, basically it's essentially a login manager. You got SDDM, GDM, LightDM. And then if you like, I try to like look up customizations for each one. I don't know if I need to look up to see if I have an SDDM video. Let me see, I might. And I'll show you kind of how easy it is to update. Yeah, I never did an SDDM update video. So, and then overview of desktop environments. And I'll have like, hey, this is what a desktop environment is, like KDE, GNOME, all that. And then I link to each video I have for those. I never did one on GNOME because most people know I hate GNOME. So that's kind of like the idea of breaking down what it's made of. You got desktop environments, window managers, package managers, explaining package managers, and even like agnostic package managers like Flatpak, AppImage, Snapd, and kind of understanding what comprises those, and some common misconceptions on how things are installed on Linux. Most people don't know it really doesn't matter so much on your distribution and what's available. Like if it's not available in your apt or Pacman or whatever it is, you can either install from Flatpak or AppImage. But let's say it's not on any of them, but it's still a Linux program. Shit you just build from source. Like that's what just happened over here when we were trying to do MD book PDF. I was like, ah, shit. It's not available in AUR. It's not available in Pacman. Oh, well, we're just going to go with cargo install and then just build from source. So you can always build these binaries from source. A lot of people think, oh, well, this distribution plays my program and this one doesn't. No, that's not how Linux works. Once you have a Linux binary, shit, you can play it on any Linux line. There's a couple exceptions there, like certain ones with dependencies are kind of a pain in the ass to get, but you can still do it. So kind of talk about that a little bit. Types of Linux installations, like starting from beginner, intermediate, and expert. Beginnings, like I installed Linux Mint using a flash drive. Super basic, pretty much have all the system tools and functions right out of the box, but it's also a little bloated. You got all the extra crap that you don't really know what you're going to use and what you're not going to use, but it's a good place to start. And then intermediate, you take a base distribution like Debian, Arch, Fedora, but from like a CLI install. So you only have like a server install, and then you just add what you want. I'll just do KDE on top of Debian, or I'll just do KDE on top of a blank Arch. Super basic. Pretty much a vanilla Arch install would be intermediate. And then an expert install would be like, I don't want to use a desktop environment. And that's where you're like, or maybe even a Gen 2 or Linux from scratch. Oh my God, please don't ask me to do Linux from scratch again. Where you're just building everything, even the kernel itself. So then I kind of go into like a progression, like this is a progression video. Well, that's not a link. Am I missing a link? Shit, that's not a link either. Ah. Let's see what we got. Let's open Linux book. And we're going to go to source. Linux. All right, what are we missing here? Saw a GitHub link in here that also wasn't there. Let's do that. And the beauty of it doing it this way is they're going to be an online one, but I'm also going to be able to publish an EPUB and then also clean it up in a PDF format, and then also do a direct publication and have, like, I'll probably do Amazon, I think it's like Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP Direct, and then it'll just, that way you can just buy the book if you want like a physical copy of this. But I first wanted to kind of put it out on the internet, and I bought the linuxbook.com, and we're gonna maybe try and publish this to there today. So then we can have a first draft. This is gonna be 0.01, like an alpha draft. All right, so we add that. Great. So if we look at that, now we can click on the links direct and then be taken to each site. Beautiful. Any feedback on that? Yeah, Chris broke up with Cursor. Cursor just trying to take over, man. I'm okay with AI. I'm okay with all those things, but you try and like mess with my stuff. And you try and just like, hey, I'm gonna just do it all for me. I'm out. I'm out on that. I'm like, sorry about you. You're getting 86th on that one. I still gotta feel like I'm doing something here. I don't want to feel like brain dead. All right, so we want a video or a guide about secure boot and how to set it up, because I'm trying to disable secure boot, bro. Logic. Ugh. Secure boot does suck ass in Linux, man. It's a pain in the ass. But it's doable. I've done it. It's just I don't want to be part of the just disable secure boot, bro, logic. The problem I have with secure boot is a lot of times all my systems I set up dual booting. And you can do that, but you got to make sure you back up your keys from your BIOS. Should your BIOS ever get reset, you could get locked out of both operating systems, and then you're kind of screwed. So you got to back up the keys, you got to set up secure boot, and then go from there. It's very doable. It's just not fun to set up. It's not a great process. At least the last time I did it. So I could revisit it though. I'm using Arch, by the way. Arch user spotted. Working dual boot environment, Windows 11 and Arch. with TPM and secure boot implemented. Good stuff. Good stuff. Very hassle-free. Okay. Well, I mean, I can set it up again. Not a big deal. Yeah, I mean, Microsoft doesn't respect much when it comes to EFI. So I usually have 2 EFI partitions, one specifically for Linux, one specifically for Windows. And then I like to just use Grub to boot. And then I have the Grub bootloader boot my Windows as well. So I do dual booting, but I always boot in my Grub. But I keep the Windows one around just in case Windows wants to do a big update. I don't want them ever thinking, hey, it's okay to switch to the other hard drive and then try and update that EFI. Microsoft in recent years has done a better job of not screwing up my Linux partition as long as the Microsoft EFI partition exists on the same drive as the Windows install. Now, still not perfect, and I still think they'll probably eventually vibe code their way into screwing it up again. But for today, it seems all right. Recently updated my BIOS trying to solve an issue. Ultimately, Grub just disappeared. Now I want to use Ventoy USB and boot Manjaro EFI. Yeah, so I mean, you can rebuild all these from scratch. You don't ever have to reinstall your OS. That's the biggest thing. I've done a lot of videos on restoring all EFI partitions. Like, let's say Windows needs to be, I can just delete the entire EFI partition in Windows, recreate a new one, do that. I've even done it live on stream. And same with Grub. Grub's just as easy, if not easier, and not a hard thing to do. Yeah, I've done that. I've done both ways with the hosting through a VM and hardware pass-through. I think this makes the most sense, the pass-through, if you're constantly loading things up. Like you have a certain app, like let's say you hate yourself and you use Photoshop. If that's you, then maybe pass-through with a GPU might make sense. Or if there's a specific game that uses anti-cheat like Apex Legend or something like that that just no longer supports Linux, or League of Legends, if you, again, hate yourself. That would be okay, I think, for a pass-through setup. But for me, there's nothing in Windows that I need daily. So I make a concentrated effort. My mind's pretty much separated. Hey, this side's Linux, this side's Windows. So when I need to go into Windows to like work on WinUtil or something like that, I just much rather just dual boot into Windows than having a pass-through. And I still have another part. I have the GPU over here, and we've done pass-through, and I had it set up for more than a year for that. It's just, I was like, I'd rather just boot into it, have it just direct, than having to do the pass-through. Because I kept booting Windows on launch, and then having it there, and then I have a little hotkey to switch to it. Very seamless. But it was using unnecessary electricity and unneeded resources to do that, even though my resource count is just stupid. Like, we have 64 gigs of RAM. We're on a Xeon processor with 32 threads or 16 cores. By all means, I should not care. However, I notice my left leg gets a little toasty when I'm running the VM because it's working a little bit harder than it needs to all the time. So that's why I'm kind of like, I almost prefer to just do a dual boot situation because I really don't need Windows that much. Now, having said that, it depends on what camp you're in here. By no means is any of these wrong. Yeah, Affinity doesn't work for shit in Linux. Oh, and before the Linux nerds come in and go, well, technically you can use this fork of wine. Yeah, I've used the fork of wine, and I know you're full of shit because I actually use Affinity in depth. This shit don't work. Pop-up windows turn up black. It's not a great experience. At that point, just use Windows. So That's one thing about Linux that it drives me crazy. Some of the community just says, well, it just works here, when it doesn't work at all. Oh, yes, you can load it. Yeah, it'll show up and it'll look okay. But when you start actually using the damn software, there's problems. And that is not working. That is the difference. That's the opposite of working. And I hate those people. I really do. It's just like, God. Ah. And there's a lot of that in Linux. That's the one thing about the Linux community. I just constantly just want to slap the shit out of some Linux users. I'm like, no. I know you're lying. Okay, here we go. What do we got? Just today, there was a kernel update, 6.14, working flawless, and NVIDIA got updated too. Oh, that's good. I still like I'm using the Linux Bazzite kernel. It's been great. It's been great for gaming. Reading comprehension has gone down the tubes, Rux. That's just one of those things. My current quest is learning how to make fast fetch run every time I open the kernel. I think I just do it through bash rc. So if you go edit your bash rc and then that command right there. That's all you need to know. So this is the fast fetch rc that I use. Now, you don't even need the if statement. These right here, I just did that. So if fast fetch isn't installed, it won't try and run something that's not installed. And that's why we do that. So yeah. But yeah, you could just add fast fetch to bash rc and just be like, at the top, fast fetch, boop, and then it'll run fast fetch. I just use standard kernel, not LTS. I get a performance 30% FPS in almost every game. Yeah, I did notice that the LTS kernel is not great for gaming. That's also a good point, Bloodman. I personally like the Bazzite kernel more than the native kernel. I've noticed Bazzite does a better job and has more fixes using their kernel than the stock kernel. So bash rc is just using bash scripting, and it's almost, think of it almost like a command line. So each line represents a command that's run. So when you type fast fetch enter, it's just running fast fetch and then going to the next line, and then whatever's on that line, it runs that in the terminal. So technically bash rc, you could have completely blank, and then, hey, these are all the commands I always type every time I do it. And then it'll just run that command. So that's what bash rc is. Just think of it as a bash script for the most part that runs as soon as the program starts up. I never did try CatchyOS kernel, Adam. I've heard good things though. I've heard a lot of people say CatchyOS kernel is really good. Can you tell me if going from i3 to Hyperland makes sense, or is it just the ricing? So you're talking really the difference between Xorg and Wayland, and it depends on your configuration. I still recommend Xorg for those that don't have an AMD GPU, so or integrated graphics. So if you are an NVIDIA user, probably just stick with i3. You're gonna have an easier time. That's changing, and every year it's getting better. This year's been pretty good for NVIDIA users, but Hyperland still has some extra setup when it comes to NVIDIA, and there's a little extra jank when moving from i3 to Hyperland. It's pretty good now, and I've actually been on Hyperland for couple weeks, maybe a month actually. So yeah, it's getting there. Xorg. Yeah, I think Xorg barely is maintained. I think it's still maintained, but barely. So I think there's like one guy working on it every once in a while, where most things are moving to Wayland. However, Xorg's still more stable for me, even though I really wanted to give Hyperland a better shot here, and I've done pretty good with this. I hate all current Wayland implementations. I believe in Wayland, and I'm sure it is the future. The current implementations are just not there yet. I think I've shown that a bunch over the past year or so. I kind of agree with that as well. The problem I have with Wayland is it seems like Xorg, I understand the code's like a spaghetti string mess and it was actually made for mainframes from like the 80s. Yeah, I understand that Xorg was not great. And frankly, I think originally it was for printers. It wasn't even for display. The problem is, shit just works, and most of the implementations of Xorg are really minimal and clean. And most implementations of Wayland, which was a start from scratch, hey, here's a legit display render, better code, you know, yada yada. Most of the implementations of Wayland is like, hey, run these 10 different programs to get this shit to work. Doesn't feel good. It feels like a hobbyist cobbled together mess. And that's the problem, is the implementation of Wayland. Not the Wayland backend itself, just the people that are doing Wayland. It should tell you all you need to know that I feel like Hyperland's the best implementation of Wayland, and it's not great. It's the best of Wayland, but it's missing clean, minimal implementations where Wayland just has, you know, you're tacking a bunch of shit on, where like a DWM or an i3 setup in Xorg just feels cleaner, feels more minimal. It's a better implementation. So yeah. Low profile tiling window managers that uses Wayland. There's a bunch. There's River. I've tried DWL a bunch to very mixed results. And yeah, Hyperland's the closest I got. Hyperland typically does pretty good. You can't use Hyperland in a VM, so it's kind of hard to test. That's one problem. One issue with it, I think. Yeah. Wayland 11. Yeah, here in 10 years. But yeah, we've been saying Wayland would take over for 10 years. It's just, again, having a proper implementation of it is rough. And Sway feels like ass. So a lot of people, yeah. Oh shit, there's a new fork of Xorg, X Libre. What? Oh no, that's not it. That happened 6 hours ago. Xorg just got forked. What? Who did this? Is this a joke? Huh? Update 16 minutes ago. Taking out some Red Hat shenanigans. Product fork on Xorg X server with lots of code cleanups and enhanced functionality. This fork is necessary since toxic elements of Xorg's project, moles from big tech, are boycotting any substantial work on Xorg in order to destroy the project to eliminate competition of their own product. I agree with this. The classic embrace, extend, extinguish tactic. Yeah. I mean, yes, I know this feels tinfoil hatty. Like, I get it, but there is a lot of bad influence in Linux that most people don't like to talk about. Like, the entire Linux Foundation is just all corporate drones that Microsoft, Apple, Cisco, we're talking major, massive companies that have every incentive to make sure Linux desktop never becomes a thing. So, I mean, I kind of want to just, let's throw our tinfoil hat on and keep reading. I'm kind of like this. All right. Right after first journals began covering the planned fork of Ex Libre on June 6, 2020. Shit, that was yesterday. Okay. Red Hat employees started a purge of Ex Libre's founder GitLab account on freedesktop.org, deleting the Git repo, tickets, merge requests, etc., and so fired the shot the whole world heard. Hear it. This is an independent project not affiliated with big tech or any subsidiaries of tax evasion tools, nor any political activist group. State actors is explicitly free of any DEI or discriminatory practices. Anybody who's treating others to be welcome. Okay. This guy's going crazy. All right. It doesn't matter what country, blah, blah, blah. So, what did they do? Show me the code. Proprietary NVIDIA drivers might break. That's a big issue. That's one of the big reasons you use Xorg. Yeah. How many people have looking at this? 176. I'll keep an eye on it. I'm kind of curious to see. It looks like just one dude. Since it's a fork, it pulls the contributors from Xorg. So it looks like this one guy. It's interesting. Dude, how am I GitHub? 1 second. I gotta sign in. I do want to star this, though. I'll keep an eye on it. Damn, two-factor. The problem I have with some of the terminology here is politics. This is pretty politically heavy talk. And the problem I have with politically heavy people is, from many that I've dealt with over the past couple years, really since COVID, I call it adult brain rot. And what it is people get all consumed by the news cycle, and they become worthless. They become just dumb repeat of whatever media content they're consuming. So they don't actually, they just become zombies that aren't capable of free thought. So a lot of times I see that. So whenever I see something with a whole bunch of heavy political terminology, I'm always like, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But a lot of times I feel like that person's just lost to the void. It happens on both sides, by the way. I'm not singling out left or right here. I just have noticed that trend, and then that person typically always talks about politics no matter what fields you're talking about, and then their productivity goes to basically zero, and their contribution to society becomes a -1. That's where I'm kind of like, I'm gonna star it. I'll keep an eye on it. We'll see if any other contributors pop up, but cautiously optimistic is where I think I'm going to leave this one. But started the delete of dev from GitLab is alarming. So, yeah, public media is rough, man. Honestly, all media, all politics right now, people have gotten weird. They need to go out, touch grass, and talk to actual people, humans face to face. The digital medium is not it. It's just been overall a negative. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of like, hopefully not. Hopefully not. It's a fork. And we'll see if someone actually takes up the fork and we start seeing more contributors and other stuff to it. But we'll see. It's like kind of like when Glimps happened. You guys remember the fork from GIMP? Where someone was like, hey, I don't like how it's called GIMP, so we're going to create Glimps. I should probably follow up and see where is that project now? Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so true, Rux. What was the thought process behind that? You think maybe Codeberg or Bitbucket or Git? I mean, there's a lot of Git alternatives, or shit, host your own. Just roll your own at that point. That's true. Will you make more videos on unique distros as Nix or KOS? What the hell's KOS? So my issue with doing custom distro reviews is most of them just suck. Chaos. It's a TV show with Jeff Goldblum. Shit, maybe I need to watch that. A lean KDE distro. What's it based on? What you based on? Watch it. Arch. Just install Arch. Yeah. Just install Arch. That's my idea. Yeah. Like, here's the thing. The Linux community doesn't get. The whole fragmentation and here's 1,000 different distros. It's confusing for new people. And half the time it's just a fork and saying, here's the packages I think you should use. I will not cover your shitty fork. I just won't. I don't give a damn what you did with it. Just, it has to have a unique aspect to it. Not, hey, I just decided to create a binary or a new thing to run on top of what everyone else uses. So, another fork of Debian, another fork of Arch. I could care less. I just can't. Just install Arch. Just install Debian. If you're big into Red Hat and you like Fedora, fine. Use that. But man, I am so sick of just another fork, and I'm not going to cover that shit. It's just, Linux is Linux. Screw your shitty distro. Just use Linux. I don't care which one you pick. Whatever gives you the best starting spot. At the end of the day, I don't give a damn. I would rather you just figure out how to make the distro you have installed work. And if you can't do that, just use Windows then. You're just not meant to be. That's where you should be. And Hannah Montana probably is the best distro, yeah. Utilization? Oh, I don't think I'm utilizing much here. We probably should do B top. H top's just a little bit much. Yeah. Which is funny. I think someone called me out on when I was like, I don't like this. It's a little heavy. And I'm sitting here, it uses 300 megs instead of 200 megs. They're like, Titus, you literally probably have 32 gigs of RAM and 16 cores. Do you really care about 100 megs? And I'm like, correction, 64 gigs of memory, 32 threads. They're like, so yeah. I love it. It's great. Would you still put Fedora at evil tier? Yeah, I mean, it's run by Red Hat, and it's like, I really like Bazite. I like Nobara, which are Fedora forks. They have a lot of gaming customization to them, and they're a great starting spot for many new users. However, they are still based on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So if Red Hat comes down from up high of their mountain and says, this is how things will be, if you're on those distros, that's how it's going to be. So it's a give and take. So yes, I would still put them in the evil tier. It's not to say it's a bad distro. I'm just saying, no. Red Hat has made some very questionable decisions in the past several years, and I just don't trust them. I only trust community-run, community-led distros, and Red Hat has just way too much influence on Fedora, where Arch and Debian are all community, meaning there's no big company behind them, and they can just do whatever the hell they want. And I like that. I like that freedom. That's why I always recommend Arch or Debian. I feel like those are the two big players that really matter. SteamOS, yeah, I think they made it for Ally, right? SteamOS for Ally X. I would imagine. What do we got? Ugh, don't use Molina Etcher. Gross. Not a big fan. Where's he getting the ISO from? Here. Steam Deck image. Let's go SteamOS and see what that is. All right. Steam Deck compatibility. So how I envision SteamOS is you have a listed compatibility for it. The only devices supported right now are the Steam Deck and the Legion Go S. And yeah, so they're going to have SteamOS for specific handheld devices, and I think they're going to keep it maintained like that. Maybe eventually we might see something reminiscent of 10 years ago when they had Steam machines and just specific hardware. And the reason why Valve's going to do this and not, you're never going to install SteamOS on your computer. It's just not going to be a thing. SteamOS for normal systems will never be a normal thing because it's impossible to support you. You do all kinds of crazy shit with your computer. You got all kinds of crazy hardware. They don't want to support that shit. They're not going to support that shit. It's just not going to happen. So like whenever I saw like a Linus Tech Tips video and ordinary gamers say SteamOS is coming to your computer, I'm like, these are people just don't understand how it works. They can't support your system. So it's just not going to work. You got to use something like Bazite or Nobara to have a good experience. Using these images meant for very specific hardware like Legion Go, Steam Deck, probably Ally X, I think is going to be the next one. They're going to be for specific pieces of hardware because then they know the SteamOS is going to have a good experience. I'm not saying SteamOS won't work. It's just not going to work very well for your system. You could probably finagle this image on your stuff, but at that point, you're probably better off picking a Bazite or another more friendly general hardware install where SteamOS is just never going to get there because it's impossible to support that much stuff from a corporate standpoint. Does that make sense? You know, I hope people understand that. No. I love ordinary gamers. I love Muta. It's just they're hoping and giving you false hope into something that's never going to happen. And I just have to reiterate what will happen. They're going to release SteamOS for specific pieces of hardware that make sense. But trying to support NVIDIA and all the other shenanigans that happens is a very daunting task. Probably the biggest myth is Linux is great for all devices. I think this may be a hot take, but it's yeah, there's certain things that just don't work very well in Linux. Certain computers that don't work very well in Linux. And that's just how it is. And you should kind of pick your hardware accordingly, and you're going to have a better experience depending on your hardware. So Linux doesn't work great for everything. It does work great for a lot of things, though. And I think what you'll see is SteamOS slowly expand their compatibility to certain hardware. So that's where I'm coming. It's not going to be, I think everyone's just waiting for the day that it's just this big mass release and every computer everywhere will be able to run it. That day will never come, but there will be a day where they say, hey, it will be compatible with this piece of hardware or this configuration of hardware, and that will be great. So, yeah. Yeah. They renamed Steam Deck compatibility to SteamOS compatibility. And that's where it is. And that's what makes sense. Because think of it this way, like, let's say you have infinite knowledge. You got super big brain. You're amazing in Linux and all things Linux. When you go to install and you have this level of mastery of Linux, you immediately gravitate towards certain hardware. You're like, man, I know if I'm going to be gaming and I'm going to be doing it, I'm grabbing an AMD GPU. For the CPU, I mean, I could go Intel, I could go AMD, I guess it doesn't matter, but I know these specific chips work a little bit better. I'm going to grab those. And then there's certain things as you get the experience in Linux where you're like, I like this piece of hardware because it works better or it's easier to set up. And that's what happens with SteamOS. Oh, no doubt. Yeah, people have been keep installing SteamOS on PCs, and it's just not a great experience. You know, that's why I'm like, if you want a better experience than the SteamOS image that they're giving you, something like Bazite, well, shit, they're gonna have like an NVIDIA spin. It's not gonna be great because NVIDIA kind of sucks from compatibility in the gaming sphere in Linux. But it's a better experience than the SteamOS image. Yeah. And yeah, yeah, and the FOSS community is really amazing. It really is. But you got to understand what Linux is, and that I think too many people think of Linux as like, hey, we need a corporation to come in and hold your hand. And Linux is never going to be that. Android is Linux. I don't know anymore. There's so much bastardization to the Linux kernel if we can consider Android Linux. I think a lot of people would hotly contest that statement these days. Right, yeah, SteamOS is created keeping just the Steam Deck in mind. Not just Steam Deck, but more portable hardware. They found this niche market where it's not really that niche anymore. It's millions of devices these days. So you have Ally X, you have Steam Deck, you have Legion Go, you have many more things coming to SteamOS. And that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like this. This statement feels right. I've seen Android file system structure. It's a zombie with hacked parts of Linux. Yeah. Android's kind of like a bastardization of Linux is probably how I'd put it. It's a heavy fork. It's not Linux based, maybe. Also a good way to put it. It's like saying PlayStation is BSD. Well, it was based on BSD. It heavily uses BSD, But there's so much that happens between what they ship and what you get with like BSD stock. It is, you can't really consider, you couldn't really call it BSD. The same thing with Android, in my opinion. Man, I don't know how I got on that rant. Anyways, so we're on chapter 2. Linux makes what makes Linux made of. Bootloader. We talked a little bit about this. So what I wanted to do is give like links to all the things, like to set up things like Grub. Boom. You can go here and get the full man page from Grub directly from GNU.org. And you can see all the different themes, every single syntax. Pretty wild how much documentation there is of Grub. So kind of fantastic to have that right there. And then it kind of, I wanted to just give you the Cliff Notes version of Grub and configuring it. Everyone can kind of generates this a little bit differently. So I wanted to show you kind of, hey, what you should do. Don't edit this file. And some basic same defaults that most people should follow when configuring Grub. And installation, you know, a lot of people don't understand like Grub install SDA. Well, technically, or when you're actually generating the update Grub here, actually that's what I meant to say. The update Grub on Debian-based systems, technically grub make config -o is this command is essentially what update Grub. This is basically an alias for this. This is what Arch uses. This is essentially the same command in Debian. So this is the configuration of bootloaders. I highly recommend never using legacy anymore. Everything's EFI. I don't see a point in EFI anymore. So that's kind of or legacy. So everything I do is EFI based. It's just so much easier. So then I have a compilation of Grub videos right here too. How to repair Linux with boot failure, fix multi-boot systems with Grub, super Grub disk and repair Grub. That was kind of a weird one. I don't think super Grub disk is really done much anymore. It used to be before Ventoy came out and just dominated the scene. Super Grub disk existed. Actually, shoot, how long ago was that? Oh yeah, never mind. Disregard. This is a different project. Yeah. And then how to actually use Grub Rescue. That weird prompt when Grub fails to load because you screwed up somewhere and generated a bad file or directly edited and missed something. How to do bootloader themes. And then using Grub Customizer and Grub Building. I think Grub Customizer is deprecated now, though. Anywho. And then System D. Also being shipped on probably half of the distributions now instead of Grub. I think one common misconception, because System D boot is almost on every system that has System D, it comes stock with it. Actually, Grub's a little faster than System D if you time it. I don't know why that is, but it is. So System D boots you'd think would be faster, but it really isn't. And I like the customization in Grub a little bit better. But I kind of go into how System D boot is all laid out here. Again, Cliff's Notes version, if you really want to know like more in depth, check out systemd.io or Arch Linux System D to get like really just like the massive novel of System D boot. But this kind of gives you a general consensus of, hey, here's a simple loader.com file that I use all the time if I'm doing System D setups, where that goes, how the structure looks on a drive. And then like grabbing basic things like UUIDs, using BLKID, and then understanding layouts with LSBK. That is wrong. One second. Grub manual. Ooh, you know, I don't want to use Markdown for this because eventually we will publish. So probably we'll change this Grub manual to just hyperlinks. Something like that. Gentoo has a great wiki too, by the way. Most people don't realize that on Gentoo. When you're looking to build from source, you get really good documentation. Gentoo does a fantastic job. And just change this around. Why don't we do that? And then we got that guy. Man pages for update grub. We'll link those. Because eventually what I want to do is, the cool thing about MD Book is we can create HTML files, EPUB files, and also PDF files. And then we can use those files to generate an entire book and do publishing. So while I'm going through and making this novel to where you can reference it online, if you wanted a printout copy, it'll also be there. Or if you have like an e-reader, you could put it on an e-reader and just go, ah, you know what, boom, and kind of hit it there. Or if you had another page and you wanted it offline, not necessarily in web page, you could do a PDF on another screen. So I wanted to, the cool thing about MD Book, which is, I think, the documentation from Rust, the actual Rust developers, I think one of them made it, and pretty damn good project. And I was like, I think I can just use this to make all of the things, the website, the EPUB, the PDF, the actual hard files to actually send to a publisher and actually create books. So that's the idea behind it. Probably be released from a licensing perspective. I'll check with a lawyer, but probably Creative Commons, to where people can't just copy my shit, but it will be available to the public. I'm thinking that's probably the best way to distribute it. And there'll probably be enough people that buy the book copy that I'll probably make a little money. Probably not enough to warrant how much time I've spent on this damn thing, but it'll be something, at least. All right. Make a TUI version of the book. We can do that. Yeah, so this is using MD Book Rux. So that's exactly what we're doing. It's actually converting real time. Right here, it rebuilds everything as I make the changes. And then it's displayed directly via HTML here. If you actually look at this structure right here, you'll notice while it's building, you have EPUB, HTML, and PDF. All these are being built as I change the file. These get rebuilt in real time. So you have all the JavaScript and all this. I could export this out and host it. And I bought the linuxbook.com to do all this. So then all this will be widely available. Yeah. But it's going to take a bit. And I'm just trying to think of anything that I might be missing. So I'm kind of just showing a little bit on stream to kind of show, hey, this is kind of my thoughts of a chapter layout. I've only gotten to chapter 4 with server CLI. Kind of shows like TTY axis right here, understanding the terminal. And, you know, that's one thing I think I disagree with a lot of people online is I think if you're going to go Linux, you have to learn the terminal at least a little bit. You got to know the terminal. I think it's just necessary, and just understanding like the directory layout and things. It's just so different coming from like a Windows perspective. What's the purpose of the book? The book is, right now it's called the Linux Desktop Guide, but essentially makes it to where you could pick it up and not know anything about Linux, and then get a good comprehensive guide on Linux desktop. Now, most Linux books out in the realm right now focus on server and server implementations because that makes the most sense. That's where Linux is. Generally, 99% of probably all Linux installs are server based or headless CLI system implementations of it. So everyone always focuses strictly on the server. I have yet to see a really good Linux book that focuses on Linux desktop specifically, desktop environments, configuring, things to use Linux as a desktop, where most Linux books focus solely on the server aspect of it. Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. So this is like a CLI implementation, but instead of just saying, hey, this is kind of what it is, most Linux books will have this. They'll have directory layouts. That's pretty basic. But then you get into server system services and configuration. This is where this type of information is a little bit more fast moving, so it changes a lot. So a lot of people can't really make use of it in a traditional novel format or a technical novel. So most people won't be able to do all of this. You won't see it in any other Linux books. So it kind of explaining like unit file locations using systemd, whether it's a system unit file that's going to be in like the etc folder, or is it going to be a user base that's going to be in .config, and then explaining the differences of using the -- user context versus non, and those types of things. And then like Bluetooth configuration. Also, you're not going to see that in any other books typically. There's just those things that I was like, hey, I want to kind of lay that out. Audio configuration, another thing most Linux books will miss because it's kind of a pain in the ass. Have you ever noticed how audio and Bluetooth and all these things in Linux are always kind of, I find myself going, how did I configure that again? And a lot of the information online is a bit scattered, and some of it is dated to where, obviously audio configuration was almost all like ALSA and Pulse back in the day, where you still use ALSA and Pulse a little bit, like PACTL or an ALSA mixer, but it's all Pipewire based. Now Pipewire's changed since it's an original implementation years ago, to where it used to be Pipewire, and then I think it was Pipewire Media Session. That was the complementary like daemon that came with it. But nowadays it's really Pipewire and Wire Plumber instead of Media Session. So if you read something from years ago, like 2-3 years ago, most of it says Pipewire - Media Session, which you shouldn't use. It's deprecated, and you need to be using Wire Plumber instead. And it's like these little things I needed to put online in a book, and then I can do first edition, or instead of calling it first edition, I think I do it by year, but I don't know if I'm going to be moving so fast that I'll have multiple editions in the same year. So I that's why I'm kind of like first edition, second edition, third edition, or do we do yearly like 2025 and just do one major release every year and then just update it on like Amazon or something? Possible. But this will need to be updated a lot because Linux desktop is a fast moving beast, and most written books on Linux are out of date by the time it even gets to publish. So yeah. And audio in Linux is a lot better today. That's very true, Rux. Very true. Jack. Ugh, configuring Jack will not be a chapter in this. Yeah, and I think that's also another big issue with Linux that I see out there is I really enjoy a lot of Linux books. Hell, I have one. Let's see. Yeah. So I bought this not too long ago, Modern Vim, right? Using Vim 8 and NeoVim. Its published date was 20, let's see. Yeah, so this one's 2018. Shit. Almost this entire book is completely dated at this point. There's almost nothing in here I can use. And that was 7 years ago. So, you know, because I mean, at the point when this was published, NeoVim probably 0.4 was out, 0.4. And Vim 8 just became a thing, and that's when one of the biggest forks happened. So a lot of the terminology and stuff in here, I highlighted and went through some of it. And some of it's still, you know, kept over the years, but most of it, especially with like the plugins and fuzzy finding, everything in here is going to be out of date. Book is titled Vim Teaches About NeoVim. Well played, yeah. And that's like that's where it's kind of like, how do I make a book on Linux desktop that moves fast and kind of keeps up with everything, to where you can always get the most recent version of it for free, but also I'm able to monetize my time somewhat. And I think that's the happy medium. Kind of like how I did with the Windows utility. Hey, here's an executable file, but it's all open source and free online. So it's like this happy medium of everything. And I think it'll work pretty good. I mean, am I crazy on thinking it this way? Yeah, online rolling release. And that's kind of what I thought. You know, I'll do versions, and the print version will have to get updated probably a couple times a year. So we might end up on, hey, here's the 27th edition of the Linux book, or the Linux desktop guide, whatever we want to call it. Shit, let's do a poll. Figure that out. Gonna make a channel on Rumble? No. I don't even broadcast to YouTube practically. I have that for archives and YouTube members that want to look at stuff after the fact, but yeah, no. I pretty much gave up on the whole big streaming kind of deal. The Linux Desktop Bible. I like that. So this is kind of the first iteration. Probably I'm thinking like around 10 chapters. I need to, on Mondays, I'm going to set up the entire 8-hour day and just sit there and churn out chapters as I go through. So I think that'll be good. And I think that'll be a good way of doing it. Now for publication. Let's see. Probably do. I want a fast automated system to deploy with. I'll probably just use MDBook, serve them, generate the HTML, sync it over to another Git repo, and then put it online using probably just Cloudflare pages. I think Cloudflare pages would work for this. And I think that's probably the best way to distribute. Take it easy, Kev. Yeah, PS5 is always kind of a pain in the ass on any PC. All right. So for this guy, I think we can do like a Cloudflare. 1 second, I'm gonna log into Cloudflare and set something up. Do Cloudflare pages, I think should be fine. Two-factor.
Yeah, well, the dude abides.
Thanks, His, for the sub, man. All right, new sub. Good to have you aboard, man. All right. Damn it, Cloudflare. I hate how they just put all my personal information everywhere on Cloudflare. So I can't really broadcast my Cloudflare deck or dash. Ugh. Can I hide this somehow? That's true. You already know my name. linuxbook.com. Oh, you can register to new domains on Cloudflare now. How about that? All right, we're going to go free. Yeah, Cloudflare needs streamer mode badly. So true. All right, continued activation, and then I gotta log into my registrar, which I don't think I've ever shown that on stream. Of all the things I've doxed of myself, I don't think I've ever doxed my registrar. Although it'd be pretty easy to look up. Not really that. Not a difficult thing. Alright, this one's triple factor. Got a specialized code, a password, and then also SMS. Which, I kind of hate SMS two-factor. Try not to use it anytime I do two-factor, but I don't mind using it for like a third barrier. Okay. And then let's go manage. Sorry, you're just gonna have to look at that. I'm almost done. I'm almost there. Just putting merge and miles in. Merge and miles DNS, and then we can get an update. Should have done this before starting the stream. Mistakes were made. Okay, so this looks good. That looks good. All right, DNS has been updated. Take 48 hours. I think I added some easy TTL, so it shouldn't take 48 hours. Yeah, SMS two-factor. I think that's how one of the times LTT got hacked. He had two-factor on his YouTube account, and that completely just broke. Someone impersonated him to his telecom, grabbed his number, then impersonated him, and then was able to log in using like a, hey, I forgot my password, send it to my cell phone kind of thing. So you never want to put your cell phone as a password recovery technique because people can impersonate you. And I mean, just using social engineering, you don't even have to be a hacker to do this. You can get someone's cell phone, and all you need is about 5 minutes. And with that number, and then boom, you can get in and do all kinds of havoc. Now, let's say someone did that to me, like I do hardware two-factor, where you can't recover it with a cell phone. Now, you might be thinking, well, Titus, what happens if you lose your two-factor key? I'm screwed. That's what happens. That's why I typically have one two-factor in a safe, and then another two-factor that I can keep on my person. I think that's the best way to do it. And then have another like code key that I only remember. Now, if I get hit by a bus, that's going to be rough. Everything I have won't be able to get logged into. So, you know. Come on, update it. Let's go page rules. Might do this offline if it takes too long. Yeah, I really like probably one of the best password utilities out there. If you're interested, is probably doing a localized instance of what is it, Bitwarden, and then with two-factor. I think localized instance with Bitwarden two-factor would probably be the best setup out there. All right, man, using some micro-win. Good to hear, even. Glad it's working out for you. All right, here we go. Invalid. Make sure DNSSEC is off. Oh, 1 second. I gotta check that. Go dashboard. Manage. Custom DNS. Yep. All that looks good. Advanced DNS should be off. Yeah, DNS is off. All that's good. I think it's just gonna take a minute. There is a couple spots to update name servers. Maybe I update it over here too. Let's see. Oh, how to get live split working on GTA running Linux. You know, I think I had some issues with that. Ah, dang it. Nah, I think it's fine. Just give it a minute. All right, yeah. All right, I think I'm gonna dump this. I think I can set up Cloudflare pages, probably. Without that. Maybe not. Maybe not. Where are you at? Where are you at, pages? I swear, Cloudflare switches crap around on me all the time, man. Come on. No, you're not supposed to see the screen. I'm on my Cloudflare instance. So I'm trying to set up pages for the hosting of the Linux book. And sadly, they just post like my email address, login, and all that stuff are all over the place.
Abides.
Iowa, thanks for the sub, man. A lot of new faces today. Come on, let's go. Once this is set up, then you all should be able to access it. No. Rules, error pages, network, traffic. Yeah, let us dox you. If you watch me long enough, it's gonna happen. It's happened in the past many times. So much I have a hotkey now that you're seeing on the screen, so you can actually have something to look at while I'm trying to get this going. Where in the hell is this? Did Cloudflare get rid of Cloudflare pages? No. My main website's on Cloudflare pages. They just changed where it's at in this stupid console. Come on, man. Where are you at? Security. Nope. Maybe it's on the main one outside of the domain. I'm getting better with GitHub search, Phoenix. I wouldn't say I learned it yet, though. Basic functionality. All right, we've got that. Webs. Oh, okay. It's not called Cloudflare Pages anymore, I don't think. I think it's called Applications, because that fucking makes sense. Why'd they... Yeah, well. Whatever. They can call it whatever they want as long as it's free. Free for today, at least. So, create an application. Start by importing existing Git repository. No. Using direct upload or import existing Git repository. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is set up a repo. And I need to do that. This I can take off the thing while we set this up. All right. It's coming down. The anti-dock screen. I'm probably still docs myself, but... So, let's go over to GitHub. And we're going to call this one GH repo create Linux book publish. And we'll make that a public repo. And then we're going to go clone Linux book publish. Boom. And then what we're going to do is link. Can we do a symbolic link and then stream? Not symbolic. I don't know if the symbolic links work over Git. So if I symbolically link back to my other Git repo, will it pull in the files for the Git sync? Or do I need to do a full replication? I want to say full hard link and replication is needed. Anybody in chat know? Probably like another little bit. I don't know. Whenever I get this thing done. When it's done, that's how long I'm streaming. Yeah, it's GitHub pages with extra steps. Yes, this is exactly right.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the dude abides.
Cypher, thanks for the sub. You had a video where you highlighted various colored potential threats. Is that video still available? Andrew, I think I need to update it. I think I had one where it was Secure Linux, where I talk about tar pits.
Look, I want to say, I know you know a lot of super
basic,
people, so thanks for
basic
me.
firewall configurations and those types of things. And then I think that works. So, I want to say I was using NFT tables, but I might have been using IP tables. It's definitely due for a rehash. I need to re-up that. Maybe when I get to the security section of Linux desktop, I'll redo that video at that time. Because I know that's probably a little dated at this point. Although UFW is still pretty universal, and setting up tar pits and those types of things and shutting off ports are pretty much unchanged. The only thing I can think that's changed is IP tables is deprecated and NFT tables isn't. Titus will soon sell crypto. Oh no. No. Not unless I become president. But yes, secure Linux. It's getting more more appealing by the day. Let's see. All right, so we got that. Now let's just try a symbolic link first. And we're going to symbolic link. We'll go source, which is home, Titus, GitHub, Linux, book. And then book, like this. We're going to do a star. And then we're going to sync this, which I think is all the HTML files, to home, Titus. Destination will be GitHub, Linux, book, publish. All right. Oh, no. Well, dagnummit. That's not what I wanted to do. Close. It was close. Okay. So instead of that, we're going to go link HTML. Oh, no. Still publish. But we need to do HTML/star. Now, we should have our index. I think that'll work, actually. Hell yeah. Publish. You can just do a symbolic link. Let's go. He looks like he is 50. Shit. I'm dead. Damn. Damn. Oh. Brutal. Just savage. Oh. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Even killer. Maybe. What other questions do you have here? I mean, he's I like all these questions. Nah. I'm kidding with you. Even, you're good. I'm not that thin-skinned. Oh no, we're good. All right, so now we have that. Let's get online. Oh, bah. Let's come on over to GitHub. Did GitHub change their interface? What is all this? I guess I've been using the CLI a little too much because I'm looking at the HTML and I'm like, damn, GitHub, what'd you do here? I'm always worried when stuff changes. This is owned by Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? I already bought the domain, thelinuxbook.com. So I was like, I'm buying it. Let's go. Let's go settings, I think it is. And then we need to add GitHub, Cloudflare pages. pages, GitHub settings, Git integration. I remember there's one setting you gotta do for the Git integration. Go to GitHub applications page. If you're in which context, Git authorized applications page. Okay. Configure. All right. Let's select. I got too many damn repos. Linux. Book publish. Save. Got it in time. Hey, is that rewind feature working? I know Twitch said they were going to add a rewind feature. I don't look forward to that day. Although viewers will love it. I have a feeling I'm going to get clipped a whole bunch. Alright, so that's good. That's good. General. And now Linux book publish. Begin setup. Framework preset. I think for this one, MK Docs maybe? I think MK Docs is the... You know, I'm going to put none because we're going to be building this directly. Build output directory. We'll leave it as root. I know you guys can't see this, but I promise I'm doing it somewhat right, I think. Build command. MK book. MK book is not even in here. I wonder if you can do a custom framework. Whatever. We'll make it. So I think we're just gonna save and deploy. Let's see what happens. It's cloning the repo right now. Checking configuration. Root directory strategy. No wrangler.toml file found. Continuing. No build command specified. Skipping build. No functions. Alright, no functions found. Good. We're not doing like Node.js or some shit. Build directory contains links to files that can't be accessed. Yeah, so that errored out. Yeah. Pure HTML. This build using MK Docs. I think I have to publish the source files and then do the build on Cloudflare is what it's wanting. But 1 second, let's come on back. Cloudflare pages. Pure HTML. All right, get documentation, get init, Okay, workers create pages, connect to Git, set up builds. Provide the following information: production branch main, build command exit 0, optional, build directory. use exit 0 as your build command. Cloudflare recommends using exit 0 as your build command to access fields such as the pages function. The build output directory where the output of the content lives, which should be the root, in my case. All right, let me try this. Uno momento, por favor. All right, Calum says put /dot for the output directory. Let's go back to change settings. Main production branch, build command. We're going to put exit 0. Output directory /dot for the current directory. And save and deploy. All right, here we go. Building, cloning, finishing. Build output directory contains links of files that can't be accessed. Let's continue the project. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna look to see what we have here. Nah, it's not gonna load. So that's not gonna work. Build system version 2, root directory, output directory, environment. That's pretty much what I did, Caleb. Thanks for the instructions, though. Darn it. Try printf, maybe. Yeah, I'm looking. This is the actual official documentation from Cloudflare. The output directory may be an issue. All right, 1 second. Let me go to details. We're going to go deployments and settings for the build. I'm going to build configuration.
Yeah, well, the dude abides.
Bojane, thanks for the sub, man. Root directory, path. It's fine. Enable build comments. That's fine. Damn. No variables, no bindings. It should just work, right? You have it as a dot? Yeah, that's what I have it in my build directory as well. Maybe I need to change the root directory to a dot as well. We can try it. Let's give that a whirl, and then let's go to our deployments. We'll start a new deployment. Hang with me. Bear with me. We're almost there. And then let's retry. You know, they never did add a retry in here, did they? Yeah, that's funny. We can just go retry deployment from the main screen, though. Although, I think if I retry this deployment, it uses the older version. Okay. Instead of the dot, I'm going to erase the dot and just try both with blanks. try that for the output. And we'll retry it. See what that goes. Yeah, let me see. Well, you know what? I bet I can just take desktop. Let's see what this does. Okay, I got an idea. Gonna just resize my screen. Then I will do that. Let's go fit. 1 second. We'll get there. There we go. All right. So, here is our settings. Stupid Cloudflare. Let's go to build configuration. So, output directory I had as dot, but it says something in the name that files cannot be accessed from the directory. You know what it is? I just thought of it. They're symbolic links. If we go Chris Titus, the symbolic links work on my machine, but they're still just links. 1 second. I'm pulling it up now. Yeah. This is just a link. It can't access it because it doesn't exist here. Guys, I fixed it. Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, bless. Fired. All right, let's fix our symbolic links, shall we? So yes, to answer your question, you can't put links in your GitHub repo because it's just going to copy the links. Stupid. Me just being a dummy. Let's go link. Instead of symbolic, I think we can just do like TLDR. Let's see. So there's symbolic. If you want hard link a file, you can just hard link it without the -s for symbolic. Yeah. Show. Can't hard link a directory. Okay, not a problem. Oh, that's gonna suck. Recursive hard linking. Because then I got to copy it over every time I have a change. And that sucks. Dry. That's a better solution. Yes, okay. Plan B. We're going to do a recursive reference of a submodule. And then bring that over. Oh, thanks, Odie. I've been watching live streams all week. Nice. Well, I'm gonna be creating some more. I've already told my fam that I was like, all right, I gotta get back to making some stuff. And we are making some stuff today. Working with submodules. Ah, thanks, Rux. Ah, okay. So we can do submodule add, use rock, but I need to grab a subdirectory in that. So that would look like, say we want to filter subdirectory. Ah, okay. This looks like rubber band, not that, but guild filter branch, subdirectory filter. Git update. Yeah, submodules are fun. But I do agree this is probably going to be the easiest way to get it done. I think we just do a subdirectory filter and then pull that in. What does that look like exactly? AI to the rescue. Okay, so it says do a clone, no checkout, and then you do a sparse checkout of the subdirectory. Then we initialize, or if you want to just do it in your existing repo. No, I kind of want to do it the submodule way. Oh, they're saying here you could do it in a special branch. Well, shit, that would be good too. Yeah, I think I'll go git clone this method. Do something like this. And we'll do it here. What do we miss? Oh. We don't need to do that. All right. Oh. Okay. And then what's that look like? This is not going to give us what we want, but I just wanted to see what we got. Okay. So then once we have the sparse checkout done, then just do a git checkout. But let's see what this gives us. Not bad. Not bad. Main issue here is it does not do recursive. Book HTML should give me more files than this. Vibe coding it. Oh no. So if we look at the structure, HTML, why did it only get book toml? We got book HTML, but it only grabbed the book.toml and readme. So when we did the get checkout, all it did was filter blob reduces the initial download size. Yeah. We could look at doing it this way. Don't get why it would do that. Huh. Why is it only grabbing the main root directory? I thought you died. I did. I'm never resurrected. Yep. Let's feed it some more info. Since chat is no help, we shall continue. Using sparse checkout method, it only check out the 2 root files instead of all the files under HTML or book HTML. ****. So this is going to be for an existing repo. We already initialized it. Let's try the sparse checkout set with the ** wildcard, and then we'll try and check out again. Let's just remove these. I kind of out on all GPUs right now. Like, all the games I play are like ancient, so it's like, and all the GPU companies have just gotten so greedy. I can't get excited about it, like a new GPU release at all. I'm not doing anything that could really utilize them that much. And it also feels like the game developers, especially AAA game developers, just completely gone downhill to where I'm like, I don't even want to buy a game anymore. It's just, they're all optimized and trash. And you know, I don't mind giving indie developers some money, but $80-90 for AAA games that are not even finished and have all full of bugs and are poorly optimized, I can't reward that. So not only can I not reward the GPUs, but I can't reward any game companies either. They're both in such a abysmal state right now. I can't buy a damn game, nor do I want to. It's just like, I'll buy some indie game, but hell, the indie game will probably be optimized, and you play that shit on like a 1060. You know, you don't need, you know, a graphics card that's built in the last 5 years to play any of those games. So I'm like, hard to be excited, to say the least. I think the biggest thing here that I'm looking forward to in the hardware space are APUs. Like whatever, the crappy Ryzen 39.5 Plus. That's interesting. That's interesting to me. That I might get. I might hit up. I usually get a couple emails from different like micro PC manufacturers. I might hit up one of those again and grab another micro PC with the new Ryzen AI chip or whatever the hell they're calling it, and check out the APU performance, because I think that's something that interests me, where like the traditional, hey, spend $1,000 on a GPU and build your own PC. In my mind, unless something drastically changes, that's over. Unless you're just a rich kid. And I just have zero interest in it anymore. Just because of the state of the market, state of where things are. And maybe it'll change. I think it's pendulum has to swing back the other way to get me interested, though. All right, we're doing get checkout, right? Yeah, let's do get sparse checkout. I think it was set was the syntax. Yeah, set. And then we're going to go book HTML. Then we're going to do **, which will be root files and subdirectories. Helps if you spell sparse correctly. If your directory really has any star blah blah in it, pass skip checks. I think we're fine. Same shit. Let's look in the git info directory, vim sparse checkout. Huh. Wouldn't it be just that? Oh, yeah. Nah. No, yeah. The Nintendo with the mod community with the release of Switch 2. Yeah, I know they'll come up with something. Yeah, the frame generation and the shady marketing that like Nvidia's doing for that, I'm just like, Get out of here. Just more AI slop. Speaking of AI slop, can we get this? What's the best way? Shit, I'm almost ready just to copy this damn thing and be like done with it. Trying to think of the best way to ask this question. Oh, did you have a question? Can you look into a warning from the beginning when you run the scripts to remove bloatware? I know it's trivial, but I don't have the time to solve what it is. What beginning when you run scripts to remove bloatware? Are you just talking about WinUtil? I don't think we're really removing much in the way of applications on WinUtil on that. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look and see that. Not right now though. I want to fix this. I want to get this thing published. My brain's starting to go though, so like I got limited time on my hands. You should be able to do submodule of the Git. I think let's prompt this guy again one more time. Different repo than Linux book, and I want to git pull just the root of Linux book book HTML files and subdirectories. So this says just use book /HTML /star and then git pull while enabling this. It seems easy. Let's see if it hallucinated this. First, let's enable sparse checkout. I think it's already enabled, but shoot. Git remote add. I don't think that's what we need to do. All right, I'll try it. We're gonna change that. Getting dumber by the day. But since chat did not have the solution here, we're gonna just have to make our own. Okay. And for this, I don't actually want to append this. We're gonna actually just override it so it's the only thing in the file. So instead of doing an append, we're just gonna do one like that. And then if we cat the sparse checkout, it should just have that one line in there. So if you look at that, we'll just have that. So any things we did in the past will be fine. And then if we pull this, that should give us something, right? But it didn't pull any of the... Huh. We're in the wrong directory. Shoot. What? Oh no. All right, take it easy, Andrew. Yeah, I'm having a brain fart here. I feel like you could just do a submodule and just pull that one folder in using a submodule, right? Make sure I'm in the right repo before I force push that. I could just see myself wiping out all of the book. Oh my god, that would be awful. I mean, it wouldn't really be that big a deal. Good thing about Git is you really can't screw it up. Because then you can just go back to your last commit and just pull it. Even if you delete all your files. So, the beauty of Git. Tar might be your friend here. Guys, I suck at Git submodules, and I'm tired of asking AI, so don't judge me. Fixed it. Yeah, screw it. Sorry, guys. I'm not going to sit here and waste another Lord knows how long on this stupid thing. We're just going to sysadmin this shit and be done. I will do update. Beep. There we go. Guess what? Boom. Oh, that's right. Let's see. Destination must be a directory when copying more than one file. Vim update. Yeah, perfect. I'm done. I'm just done. I'm done using the whole Git submodule to try and pull that in. You know what? I'm just going to do my edits, and when it comes time to publish, I'm just going to open up the publish Git and then go update. And then in my update script, I might even pull from... Actually, no, I'll probably put that in a GitHub action with the hidden API key so people don't try and publish a whole bunch. So then when we go to Cloudflare, we should be able to do it. 1 second. Cloudflare and deploy. Sometimes the simplest solution is the right solution. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Alrighty. We're going to try without the dot on the build output and root directory this time. So we're going to go to deployments. It's already deployed. Already works. Yep. Boom. Maybe. Maybe it works. The Linux book.com. That's not ready. All right, 1 second. The linuxbook.com. Continue.
Yeah, well, the dude abides.
All right, activate. Dennis, thanks for the sub, man. We're activating the domain now, and then you guys should be able to see it globally. It's initializing. Big changes. Big changes. Well, it does say up to 48 hours in a DNS, but typically, like, TTLs default to like 5 minutes. So it should verify quickly. All right. And I'm going to just check my domain really fast. Make sure the DNS got updated properly. Let's see. It did get updated properly and it's proxied. So if someone tries to DDoS us, we're good. And the linuxbook.com. Hot damn. It has begun. Alrighty. So, I think this is where we will end today's stream. The start of something wonderful. If anybody has had any ideas or like, hey, I'm having this problem with Linux desktop, let me know. We're going to expand this book and I will get it all situated and we're going to publish it. And that will help a lot of people. And I'll add all the different YouTube videos I've done over the years. I'm going to go back through like all of my Linux videos. And if I did a video, I'm going to try and make a section of the book to reference that video and then also expand on it in text form. So then people could easily copy paste from here, click on it to get more of a video representation. And then some videos might be so old I probably need to redo, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. So raid Ryan Fleury. All right, we're going to raid Ryan Fleury. YouTube, take it easy.